Hey, it's September and I'm doing another round of 30 days. 30 days of talking to the camera. I'm going to talk about why I've called this little side project, why I'm calling it an interludes. Yeah, interludes. This is my fourth one of the 30-day thing. And I'm on a bit of a break from doing my monthly vlogs. I decided to take a bit of a break, especially in the summer months. It was just really hot. And I just got tired of doing the video editing work on that. And this came up as I got the idea to do these 30 days of talking to camera as a side project. I saw it as a low effort thing. It would take a lot less energy, concentration than doing a vlog. And so it's an interlude, something in between my vlogs. One of the challenges I'm facing at my Toastmasters club is that the venue where we've been having our meetings for the past year has become unavailable to us. So we've been shopping around for alternate venues where we can host our ongoing meetings. Preferably because we would like to have our meetings in person. We can always fall back on online meetings for those evenings where we don't have a venue, but we're really trying to move the club towards more in-person meetings. I'm giving a speech tomorrow at my home club, Speak from Experience Advanced Toastmasters. The title of the speech that I'm giving is My Date with Olivia Benson. I'm doing it as level 3 in the presentation mastery pathway. I am finding that writing my speeches lately is just not going the same. I start writing it and I get maybe halfway through it and then I feel like I'm blocked. I know the speech that I want to give, I just can't seem to get through, or I have a hard time getting through actually writing it down. That kind of makes it challenging because writing it down helps me to practice for the timing of it, because I can tell by the word count of it. If I don't write it down, well, Toastmasters, they kind of say, don't write down your speech, don't memorize it word for word. And I think when I started doing my speeches at Toastmasters when I was a newbie, I approached it as a writer because I was a writer before I was a public speaker. So maybe I've reached that point in my growth that I don't need to be writing it down and learning it word by word anymore. I'm still figuring this out. I gave my speech tonight at Toastmasters, my speech titled My Date with Olivia Benson. And one of the pieces of feedback I got was that I am a good writer. This came from a guest who was visiting our club and who said that she wants to join. And she enjoyed the way that the speech had been written. I used a lot of sensory details, vivid descriptions and stuff. So I really appreciated that particular feedback. I think of myself as a good writer, and of course that's me. So it's really reassuring to hear that somebody else, it's not just me all in my head or my own ego that's telling me I'm a good writer. It's kind of nice to hear it from another person. I found this shirt in a closet that had my deceased parents' articles of clothing in it. Don't know if I'm going to like this shirt or not, but I figure might as well at least try it out once. I'll wear it, and then I'm either going to wear it or I'm going to discard it. I've got a studio session booked for tomorrow, and I'll be kicking off a new project, starting production on the fourth song in my Tale of Two Cities project, Recalled to Life. I've been working on a demo version of it for the last couple of months, and I've prepped a chord chart so that I can present both of them to the producer that I work with, Steve, and so that we can start building up the production version. I had my first studio session with Steve today. He did the chord charts and started tracking for Recalled to Life. I brought in my own chord chart, but of course I wrote them in a way that makes sense for me. And he took some time to rechart, to write them in a notation that made sense for him. There's a couple of spots where the timing is a little bit wonky. Even though I wrote it all in 4/4 time, there are a couple of bars there where it kind of sounds like it's a 1/4 time and then a 3/4 time that the chord change comes on the different note than the downbeat. So it was a bit of a complex process, and then he started tracking. He put down a couple of tracks of acoustic guitar just to put down a foundation. And we got our next session booked for next week. The project is taken off. September is that time of year when Toastmaster club memberships are due. And to remain a club in good standing, a Toastmasters club must submit at least 8 member payments by September 30th. I'm involved with 2 clubs at this point. I am president of the Suite Club, and I'm also club coach to Station 29 in Calgary. With regards to my home club, Suite, to date, I've noticed that we have had 7 membership renewals submitted, so we just need 1 more to get in to reach our club in good standing status. And with regard to Station 29, I have followed up with the club president and sent him a reminder about the membership dues being due and the importance of submitting 8 in order to retain their club in good standing. I haven't heard back from him yet, and I shouldn't be taking it too personally, but I am feeling a little bit annoyed that I haven't heard back. And I'll be watching closely what happens with the membership renewals. They have 6 people on their club executive, and I'm thinking that if I don't see all 6 of their club executive members send in their renewals on time, I may have to reevaluate my coaching relationship with that club. I don't really want to be investing my time and energy into coaching somebody who's not willing to be coachable. So we'll see what happens. We're in the final days of September now, and October starts in just a couple of more days, and you know what that means? That means that we're starting the final quarter of the year, October, November, December. Yikes. Time to start thinking about all the stuff that I wanted to accomplish during the year that I stalled out on. One of the things that I've stalled out on is my video blog, my vlogs. I never did get around to publishing my episode 4 vlog, and I've got a couple of other video projects kind of in the pipeline that I've shot. Just didn't really have a lot of energy, motivation, especially during the summer months with the heat wave and all that, to be spending time on a computer doing video editing and stuff like that. But I really would like to finish the year with a couple of more projects under the belt. I'm recalibrating my goals for the year, especially for the vlog. Last year in 2023, I started out with the idea of wanting to do 1 a month. And although I missed a couple of months, I did actually end the year. I had a month or 2 where I squeaked out 2 videos. So I did end the year with at least 12 episodes out in my 2023 playlist. And for 2024, the idea of doing 1 a month, that idea is just totally gone. Totally missed the boat on that one. I'm recalibrating. I think at this point I would like to get to 6. Yeah, maybe even 6 would be a stretch. I got number 4 in the can. I'm just going to publish it as is. I don't want to spend any more time editing on it. And I think I've got at least 2 more in the pipeline. I'll have to muster up and finish those and get those out there. A couple of days ago was the anniversary date of my mom's passing. 6 years since she passed by. Can't believe it's been that long. Feels like it only should be like 2 or 3 years ago. Anyway, so today's mission was a road trip to the cemetery where both of my parents are buried. It's a gorgeous day out there today. End of September, it's still a gorgeous day out there. And visited the mom and dad. And came out here with my girlfriend, my current girlfriend, and my other friend. And we came out and introduced them to our parents. Today was a rest and relaxation day following yesterday's excursion out to the cemetery to see my parents. I say today was a rest and relaxation day. Well, I mean, actually the afternoon was. During the daytime, the morning, I had my second session with Steve, working on the Recall to Life music project. That's song number 4 in the Tale of Two Cities series. When I arrived at the studio, Steve already had the project up and running. He was tinkering with it. He was doing a thing with the piano tracks at the beginning of this song. And when I came in and I said, I've got the MIDI tracks that I've got there's 2 cycles. And the second cycle, I just did a copy paste of the first cycle. But what I was thinking we should do is really replace the second cycle with an inverted chord version of the first cycle, so it's not exactly the same. I'm not big on repetition. I'll say it again. No, I'm not. I'm not going to say it again. I kind of like doing variation and stuff. And and Steve he was tinkering with it, came up with something really interesting for the opening of it. And at the end of the session, he said, "Thank you for trusting me with this." So that was kind of a cool interaction to have. Topics and evaluation contest night. That's where I was this evening at my Toastmasters club. We had our annual table topics and speech evaluation contest. I participated in the table topics contest and actually came in second place. The prompt was, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received? And for my answer, I told a story about the time when I was deciding whether to transfer out of the Applied Studies program at University of Waterloo into the Computer Science program in the math faculty, even though that it meant that I would be graduating a year behind my, quote, peers, end quote. The reason I'm putting air quotes, invisible air quotes around my peers is because I did actually end up deciding to transfer and end up with a new set of peers anyways. The best piece of advice part was a conversation that I had with a young lady on the beach at a summer beach party that I attended that summer when I was making that decision whether or not to transfer. And when I told her about my dilemma, she said, when you're 40 and doing what you want, that extra year won't make a difference. And when I heard that, I was inspired. I made that choice to transfer and to take that extra year to graduate. What I did for the opening line of my speech, I threw out a bit of a subvert expectations. I actually opened it with the worst piece of advice I've ever received, that I've ever been given, was from myself. And the worst, what I call the worst piece of advice, was when I decided to go into applied studies instead of computer science in the first place. So came in second place. Today is the last day of my life in my 50s. 59. Tomorrow, 60th birthday. The big 6-0. Holy fuck. Today is the big day, my birthday. Not just any birthday, because I have one of those every year. It's my 60th birthday. I've been getting lots of happy birthday notices on my Facebook wall, and I appreciate those. To be quite honest, woke up this morning, wasn't quite in a happy mode. The happy will come, I know it will come, but starting off the day is kind of like a little bit depressed, to tell you the truth. The happy will come. I've been invited to be a test speaker at a Toastmasters club contest this evening, and a speech I've decided to give, I've titled it, "I'm Not Cut Out to Be a Public Speaker." Kind of an interesting irony, isn't it? Okay, it's a couple of hours later since my last recording. It's a little bit after 11 a.m. now, and I'm starting to feel some of the happy kicking in. One tradition that I've been kind of following, I missed it out last year, but one personal tradition that I've instilled is personally thanking everybody who posts on my Facebook with happy birthday greetings. I know I could just put a single blanket comment and say, thank you everybody who posted, but as a personal tradition that I've created, I go in each comment, each individual one, and thank them directly for their wishes and stuff. Last year was the 1 year out of the last, I don't know how many years that I've been doing this. Last year was the 1 year that I missed it, but this year kind of getting back on track with that. It looks like this might finally be the year that I get the birthday wish that I've been wishing for at least the last 10 years. And that's all I'm going to say about that. The contest for which I was target speaker this evening is now done, and I'm going to share a little bit of secret of you. The speech that I presented tonight, I only wrote part of it. It's only half written. The rest of it, I just kind of ad-libbed, improvised. I don't think the audience knew that. I didn't spend as much time prepping for it as I thought I might. Just kind of other things came up, birthday things. That's all I'm going to say about that. And so I did use my notes for the first part of the speech, and then once I got going, I knew the story that I wanted to tell. Don't tell anybody that it's only a half-written speech. Don't tell anybody, okay? And what was I going to say? That I didn't actually see the timing lights when the speech started. I got a little bit frazzled because as I was setting up to get on the Zoom call, I realized that the email that I had with the Zoom link was not actually the link for the contest tonight. And so I was kind of scrambling around last minute trying to get hold of somebody who would send me the correct Zoom link. I did finally get that and joined the call just in time to be introduced by the contest chair. And I just went in, launched into my speech, and then realized that I couldn't see the timing lights. So that means I kind of just had to use my own internal sense of timing to know. I didn't actually find out when the contest ended. I didn't actually end up finding out what my timing. So I have no idea if I went overtime or within time. Nobody commented on that. So that's, so that's it. Got some, there were 3 contestants that were running in the evaluation contest. And so I got evaluations from all 3 of them. Some interesting stuff. The speech that I wrote, it's really meant to be an in-person speech. This is the first time I've done it over Zoom. So I did improvise a little bit, adapt a little bit for the camera. And just as a last-minute prep thing, I realized there was an opportunity for me there to use a microphone, which I happen to have in the basement. I ran down to the basement and brought it back up, and I used it at the appropriate moments in my speech. And I think all 3 of the contestants included that, the use of the prop that I used the mic as a prop for the speech. You know what? I'm at the part of the evening. The happy is there. The happy part of the happy birthday. Wasn't feeling it this morning. I'm feeling it now. When I woke up this morning, I was like, holy fuck, I'm 60 now. It's the end of the day now. And now I'm like, holy fuck, I'm 60. That's all for today. I'll talk to you next time. When my Toastmasters club, when we created our club success plan at the end of June, one of the goals that we all agreed on is that our goal was to become a President's Distinguished Club. Not a distinguished club, not a select distinguished, but President's Distinguished Club. And in my perspective, I think if we're going to do that, we are going to have to grow our membership base. I think our current membership base, best we can do is, well, we'll get distinguished club status, and maybe if we push, we might be able to pull that up and get a select distinguished. But I think to get President's Distinguished Club status, I think we really need to grow our membership base to do that. Over the last couple of months since I've been president, one thing I have observed is that we do not have a very good marketing machine in place at this point. We've been dropping the ball on a couple of things. A couple of weeks ago, we had our club contest, and we had 0 guests at the event. Or so it seemed. But then I later learned that we actually did have somebody who wanted to join the contest over Zoom. And she had actually contacted the club and got no response. So she had no way of actually participating in the club online. In our marketing materials, we've been putting out a club email address where we want people to contact us in order to register for events. And what I've learned is that we've actually got nobody who's been monitoring that email address. So we've really been dropping the ball on that. And that's what I've been focusing on this week, making sure that we tighten up our procedures, improve our marketing efforts, and actually attract and get new members into the club. I'm out for a walk today. Going for a walk along the Credit River in Mississauga. Just love hearing the sound of the river. What made my day today, after a pretty challenging Thanksgiving holiday Monday, is that I got referred to in an email. I was introduced to somebody as the best division meeting summarizer we ever met. This was on an email pertaining to something I'm not going to go into today in this recording, but that just kind of made my day that I was remembered that way. The curtain comes down and it's end of Act 1. That's the thought that I had at my session in the studio today as we were working, adding some tracks to the final section of the project we call to life. The curtain comes down, end of Act 1. Being in the studio, that's what it must have felt like when Comfortably Numb was being produced way back then. Yeah. I was listening to the session mix from yesterday's studio session and listening to the instrumental only part. And it sounded pretty good. I think it really works well. Even if we don't put the vocals in, it already stands on its own as an instrumental track. It could be good for a soundtrack, for example, for video. And as I was listening to it, I'm thinking it's a little bit deceptive because beginning of the song, it comes across as kind of a smooth listening kind of style. And at a certain point, there's a sliding guitar that kicks in and it picks up from there. And coming into the end of it, it really picks up, and it's like channeling shades of Pink Floyd and Trans-Siberian Orchestra. last couple of weeks, there has been so much Toastmasters stuff going on. Last week, I was a chief judge at a table topics contest at a club, and this week I am a contest chair for an evaluation contest. So I've been busy scurrying up, putting together the team. The first two things that I set out to do once I accepted the role to be the chief, to be the contest chair for Thursday's contest, is I wanted to get a chief judge and a test speaker. So I got those nailed down. There's a sign-up form one of the members set up. We've got about 5 members set up already to be the contestants. Still have a few more roles to be filled. The contest is in 2 days. A lot of work going on. I had a vaccine shot yesterday, a pneumonia vaccine shot, and they told me that some of the side effects could be flu-like symptoms. Well, this morning is when I started feeling the flu-like symptoms. Don't have the flu, at least not yet, but I definitely feel like some of that tiredness and fatigue that goes with it. Didn't get done nowhere near as much as I had planned to get done today, especially in terms of prepping for the evaluation contest that I'm chairing tomorrow night. But that's it. I think today the focus has to be on getting rest. Had another studio session today working on Recalled to Life, and in today's session we were putting down the vocals. And as is often the case in this type of work, the melody started to evolve a little bit, kind of went off of how I originally wrote it, but reacting to some of the instrumentation that has been put down that wasn't there when I wrote the song, but that has been added in, especially the last session that we had when Steve put down some lead guitar, solo guitar stuff, and I started noticing some new vocal choices became available to me as a result of trying to blend in the vocal melody line and blend it a little bit more into where the lead guitar goes. I was kind of feeling a little bit of Roger Waters and David Gilmour thing happening in the studio when I was putting down the vocals today. The mail coach. Oh, okay. The mail coach lumbered on its way. Its harness rattled like the chink of money. I was supposed to come in, wasn't I? Okay. He was money. He was on his way to dig someone out of a grave. I had a mixing session today, and we booked another session for about 2 weeks out from now. Steve says the song is ready to be mastered. And I'm thinking that taking a bit of a detour here, and rather than starting the mastering process on Recall to Life, what I'm thinking to do is use our next session. I want to redo the vocals on the first song in this series, the first song being The Period. I originally recorded the vocals. This was during the COVID lockdowns, and that was That was the first time that Steve and I, first time and only time actually, that Steve and I did a project over Zoom that involved vocals. We had done a project over Zoom prior to that, Dance on the Rainbows, an instrumental, which we did over Zoom during the COVID period. No vocals, obviously, it was an instrumental. The Period, I recorded the vocals on my iPhone using earbuds, not expecting it to be used in the final mix. And when the lockdowns eased up and I did go back into the studio, I decided that rather than picking up and continuing to fiddle with The Period, I wanted to get on with the next song, which was A Strange Message. That was followed by the third song, which was That Profound Secret, and now the fourth one, Recalled to Life. And as these four songs, I see them as sort of forming a suite, I guess. This would be like the equivalent of side one, if this was a record or an album or an EP. And what? I'm using too many ands when I should be just making full sentences come to a full stop and start a new sentence. Something like that. I did a social experiment the other day. What I did is I closed my eyes, I borrowed a white cane, and I went for a walk along a sidewalk beside a strip mall. Why did I do this, you might be wondering, and where did I get a white cane from? Well, my girlfriend is blind, and what I did as a social experiment, I wanted to see what it was kind of like being in her situation. So I closed my eyes and borrowed her cane and did this walk. Now, I cheated a little bit because obviously, well, maybe not so obviously, but how I cheated was that before I closed my eyes, I could actually see what the sidewalk looked like, where all the potential obstacles and all that stuff was. So I had a mental image of it before I closed my eyes. And as I walked along, I made a couple of observations. I learned a few things. One of them being, so I started walking along in the middle of the sidewalk, and as far as I could tell, I was walking straight, but I knew kind of intellectually, I knew that I wasn't necessarily walking in a straight line. I could be veering off to one side. I know that I saw a YouTube video on that demonstrated one's fact if for like a human being who's blindfolded and is walking in what they think is a straight line, they will tend to veer off in a particular direction. I thought that I was veering off to the left. And at a certain point, I could tell I had reached an obstacle, and I could feel it because of the cane that I was using. And I reached an obstacle, and it didn't match anything in the mental map that I had when I looked before I actually closed my eyes. So I cheated again. I opened my eyes to take in my surroundings and realized I had actually veered off, not to the left, I had veered off to the right, and ended up pretty much walking into a wall. So that was an interesting observation, that even though I knew intellectually that I was probably drifting onto one side, one, that I didn't feel like I was drifting, I still felt like I was walking in a straight line, and two, that I completely misjudged. I thought I was veering off to the left side, and I was actually veering off to the right. So that was one observation I had. Another one, my mental image that I had before I started the walk, I noticed that there weren't any people. There weren't any other people on the sidewalk, so I knew I didn't have to worry about bumping anybody that was kind of walking towards me, that I might end up kind of walking into them or poking them with the cane, since I was using that to feel my way, what was ahead of me. But as I was going along the sidewalk with my eyes closed, I realized that I had no way of knowing whether that situation had changed or not. Somebody could have come out of one of the stores and ended up walking towards me or walking away from me, and I would have no way of knowing. And with my eyes closed, I actually felt a bit of an anxiety thing, not quite as confident as I was when I was starting. So I can just imagine what that must be like for somebody who is blind or visually impaired, who is relying only on a cane to know what's going on around them, how that would potentially stir up feelings of insecurity or not knowing who's around the situation. So those are a couple of things that I learned as a result of my social experiment. Another thing that I observed too, that when I started the experiments, I closed my eyes and started walking. I found that I got really annoyed when my girlfriend started coaching me or teaching me how to use a cane at the lecture, like, oh, you have to do this arc motion and blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, I got really annoyed. It's like, no. It's gonna, I don't want to be coached on this. I'm not looking for a training session. I just want to just do this just so I can kind of immerse myself in the experience and see what it was like. So that was my social experiment. It's day 24, and the end of the year is approaching. It's middle of November already. Pretty sure I started this so-called 30-day camera challenge in September. So it's taken me 2 months, 3 months to just to do 30 days of talking to the camera challenge. Okay, I'm gonna try this again and not make my day 24 entry be too meta. I had a lot going on the last couple of weeks. I had 2 club contests at Toastmasters at, not the club I currently belong to, but my former club. And in one case, I was a chief judge, and the other one, I was a contest chair. And on 1 week's notice, I accepted the role and organized it on 1 week's notice. That was a lot. I had a couple of all-day workshops on some of the weekends. I think I had like 2, maybe 3 weekends in a row where I had like all-day workshop kind of a thing. So bottom line is a lot of intensity going on for the last 2 to 3 weeks. And by the end of last week, I was definitely feeling I needed the time to myself. So I took the weekend to myself. Well, other than Saturday, I had an area contest. It wasn't all day. It was I guess half a day. There were 2 contests. I did one in the morning that I was helping with that. I was a contest judge. I think I'm not supposed to tell anybody that. Contest judges are supposed to remain anonymous. Anyways, and then there was another one at the same building after that one, and I stayed around for that one. I was already out there. So that was my Saturday. And as for Sunday, which was yesterday, and I stayed home, resting time. So I had a lot going on. I don't think I've talked about all of it in these recordings, but it's been a lot, and I really appreciated having this last couple of days just to myself. I made a smoothie a few days ago, and I found the amount of effort that it takes to make the smoothie and then to clean up the blender and everything afterwards. Sometimes it seems like it's more work than the actual enjoyment that I get out of eating the smoothie, which lasts like only maybe 2 days. So what I did this time is I made a smoothie a couple of days ago, and I just keep topping it up. When I get down to about a third, a quarter left, just top up some ingredients. So today I'm adding some spinach, some kefir, got some frozen banana slices, avocado slices. Gonna toss them all in, add some almond milk, and top up my batch. Today's gratitude. I am grateful simply for being alive. I turned 60 not that long ago, so I've been alive for 6 decades. And yesterday would have been my father's 100th birthday, had he made it. So that's a lot of decades on this planet. And that's my gratitude that I made it long enough to survive for 6 decades, and also grateful for, not that my dad made it to his 100th. He passed away about eight years ago or something like that, in 2018. So I don't know, whatever the math is. No, 2015, so 9 years ago. But still grateful that he lived as long as he did, and just grateful that even if he's not around anymore, it was still his birthday yesterday. My Toastmasters club has 2 club meetings left in the 2024 calendar year. The first one of those 2 meetings is taking place on Wednesday. That is just a few days away, and I have signed up to give a speech on that day. I want to give a presentation I'm moving towards completing level 3 in the presentation mastery pathway. I still have 1 more elective to do and a speech. So basically two presentations to do to complete level 3. And my motivation for completing level 3, one of my motivations is I want to unlock the DTM project, because I want to know I want to start thinking about what my DTM project will be. I want to unlock it so I get access to the manuals or the information about it, so I can start kind of thinking, planning for it. I'm kind of feeling a little bit anxious about the presentation I'm doing on Wednesday. Decided I was going to do a presentation, a visual aids presentation on the topic of the new Basecamp software that Toastmasters has rolled out last month. And I kind of feeling like I may have set myself up for set some expectations. Or I heard somebody saying the other day, "Oh, Orsha's giving a speech on Wednesday," and the way he said it kind of sounded like, "Oh my gosh, the bar is pretty high." So the days are running out, and I'm just rambling now. I'm gonna go. Bye. It's studio day today. I've got a session, probably going to be the last session for 2024. We're ready to start mastering, and now I want to start thinking about the 4 songs we've been doing as part of a suite rather than a set of standalone songs. What my objective is for today's session, I want to go back to the first song that's part of this suite, The Period, and I want to redo the vocals. And there's also another part in there. I kind of want to change the way that we approached it. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. One more elective to do, and that should bring me to the completion of level 3 in the presentation mastery pathway. I'm on the agenda to give that speech project tomorrow night, and my intended title for the speech is "This Speech Will Make You Yawn," and I'm doing it as a Understanding Vocal Variety project. I have some ideas for what I want to do for it. Basically, leading my audience through a bunch of vocal warm-ups. And one of them is the like a yawn, hence the title, "This Speech Will Make You Yawn." I gave another speech at Toastmasters tonight. I did one of the electives in level 3 in the presentation mastery pathway. To complete level 3, the requirements are to do there's a speech project to do and 2 electives. I have actually done 3 electives out of it, and I did the main speech project out of that a while ago. The speech project is persuasive speaking. So I did that, I think 2 weeks ago, and I submitted my project completion for level 3. So once that gets all approved and all that stuff, that should show up as an extra goal scored, an extra point on our club dashboard towards our Distinguished Club Program status. Well, that's it for this particular 30-day segment. I started it in September, finished it in December. I just played back the whole thing, and I can see that, wow, that whole period from September to December, it was really dominated by a lot of Toastmasters stuff, and of course my studio work that I was working on a song recalled "The Life," and got in a vocal session to redo the vocals on the period. I finished level 3 of my presentation mastery pathway. So I'm excited about that. And that means that I am now eligible to unlock my DTM project. I'm going to be holding off until after the new year before I actually start thinking about that, about what to do for that. So that's it for this particular 30-day segment. I will talk to you in the next video. Ciao.